As Neil's alluded to, I have a podcast with Neil, Adversity to Prosperity. I also have The Truth About Business that you can see behind me, which is where I interview successful business owners, entrepreneurs and CEOs. But I'm also director of the family-run estate agency in Derby called Hannells, which is, there's a lot of systems and processes involved with that. So many hats, but I'm coming with the Hannells hat today. So nice to meet you all, and thanks for joining us.
Nice to meet you.
Good.
Always pleasure.
Thanks, Ben. So I'm just going to go around now and just basically from what I can see at the top on my screen, just to a quick introduction. So Tony, could you kind of just to give introduction to your good self, please, and what your business is?
Yeah, certainly Tony Haig. I'm the CEO of a company called PP Control and Automation based down near Walsall in West Midlands. We employ 230 people. We're a controls and automation company supplying contract manufacturing solutions to machinery builders.
Thank you so much. Nigel Stevenson.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nigel Stevenson. I'm the MD and owner of NCS Fabrications and Trade Signs in Derby. We employ about 65 people at the moment, although some of those are furloughed. We manufacture signs for the sign trade. So we supply a lot of different sign companies all around the UK. One or two little bits abroad, but not a great deal, mainly UK based. And we have disciplines in metal manufacture, acrylic and electrical illumination.
Very good indeed. Thank you. Bob Betts.
Hi Neil, hi everybody. I'm the Managing Director of Smith of Derby Limited. So public clocks, design, manufacture and care for maintenance. So we're the small boy on this call. I think we've got about 60 people. It's a very interesting time as it has been for everybody, and we're about 3/4 furloughed. The management team are still in place, and we're looking forward to this Thursday evening update today, and of course the Sunday one as well. So yeah, we look after about 4,000 public clocks on a maintenance agreement across the UK and some internationally. We're about a £3 million turnover, and about half of that is brand new business. So we're trying to do, around about 50,000 a week in new clocks, public clocks around the country and around the world. And like everybody on the call, I guess this has kicked us in the pants, and we're going to have to rethink the plan.
Indeed, exactly. Thank you so much, Bob. Ashley.
Hi, I'm Ashley Bailey from Climeasy in Alfreton. I've got a few companies. Climeasy is predominantly the main one at the moment. We manufacture steel warehouse steps and access equipment for warehousing and storage industry. We're just launching another company called Fortress Cages that we're bringing to market, manufactured by Climeasy. So we're looking at launching new stuff, which this time has given us more time to concentrate on focus on new product design and things and changing stuff in-house, which is kind of taking advantage of that. I've got a consultancy company, Lime Green Lean, that I go out and teach lean. We work with Derbyshire Police Force and a little bit with the Fire Brigade and the East Midlands Special Operations Unit. So kind of teach them best practices and work with them. And a fix what bugs you. So because of the lean side, all the products and stuff that we sell that goes along with that, and Kaizen products and things, we have fixwhatbugsyou.com. That's a website we sell the product through. So two of which we've launched in the past month, two companies. So yeah, we've got Climeasy being the main company at the moment where we kind of hone ourselves as the lean side. We have around 15, 16 people. Most are furloughed at the moment. I've got a skeleton crew, so we never actually closed, but we maintained good business as the suppliers sort of slowed down a little bit, but we've just maintained that as we've gone along at the moment. So
very good. And you and I first met, I think, on the back of Paul Akers and his book,
yes.
2 Second Lean, which no doubt we'll talk about in a
yeah,
week.
that's my Bible.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal book, and I can only reiterate that as well. I was going to introduce Ian Hodgkinson, but all I'm looking at right now is his curtains. So we'll come back to Ian Hodgkinson in a minute. And just finally, just to introduce myself, Neil Lewis. I'm a scaling up coach, working with mid-market companies, predominantly in the UK, but got a few clients across Europe as well. So yeah, the notion for as we go through this, I think we're going to have this unique opportunity to really hone in for one probably of the most important areas as we go through the challenging times right now is this notion of really getting clear about the processes that you have running in your business. Are they running without drama? Are they giving an opportunity now to spend some time to get to work and fix those particular processes once you've identified them? So, but before I do that, and I'm going to work this back in sort of opposite order. It did be interesting, actually. Obviously, we just talked briefly about some of the impact and some of the team being furloughed. But I'm going to ask this to everyone in terms of how have you and your company been impacted by the crisis so far? So, if I can start with you, Ashley.
Obviously, business is lower in terms of turnover, but for the company itself, it's been great for us because we've been able to concentrate more on all the projects that we never have time to do. We're literally starting top to bottom in the factory, refurbishing it, redecorating everything, all the things that we never get to do really. So it's been good having that focused time. The productivity, we have a throughput production system. We're in a manufacture to order, and our production is up 70% on the guys that I've got, which seems to be a common theme with a lot of people I speak to, that they've got less people but they're producing more. So that's something we're considering when we decide who and why and when we're bringing people back. But it's a good time for us for innovation. Like I said, we've developed and launched a new product to market that's created a new business out of it, and new partnerships. So I don't think, in terms of, although the turnover's a little lower, the company itself is stronger for what we've been going through.
Very good. Ian, I see you with us now.
Yes, I'm here. I'm back. Yes.
Are you going to find a friend or something? I'm very well, thank you. Did you want to quickly give an introduction to yourself and your business, and then we're interested to see how you've been impacted by the crisis so far?
Yeah, Ian Hodgkinson, Hodgkinson Builders, property developers, contractors, bricklayers, and we've got a teaching academy as well, teaching bricklayers. So yeah, we've basically been hibernating for the last 6 or 7 weeks. We've had a couple of sites just trundling along, a couple of sites that we couldn't leave for safety reasons and civilizing the ground, and we've got a situation where we've got to finish sections of a building off to make sure that was all supported properly. But yeah, we're on hibernation mode, but we will start to come out of it next week. The builders merchants have opened this week, so we've put some orders in to get kit on site next week. But things are going to be a challenge, and we'll see where we go.
Got it. Thank you. Bob, how about you? How have you been impacted so far?
Well, it's really interesting listening to Ashley, because I think we've got a lot of parallels with that. We've got about 20 vans, in vans running around the country servicing these clocks. So we had all the vans in. We have found things in those vans, Neil, that we never thought we had. We found parts for clocks that went missing, and so it's amazing that we've taken the opportunity to, like look at the shop floor. When we're coming back, our processes will be leaner. We will be meaner. I think we'll be stronger. And if we're coming back with social distancing in mind, that we're coming back in stages for the number of staff we have in the shop floor and the office, the challenge that we set to the team in various meetings would get the output that we've already done. But didn't realise that we only had to play with half the staff. And the big question now, and I hope you're not, this is between friends. I see you recording this, Neil, but we've got to understand that companies now are going to be thinking, hang on a minute, we can do things differently.
Yeah.
That is going to be a question mark for many leaders, I think, across the company, across SMEs.
Yeah, no, undoubtedly, and I think it's when you get these challenging times, it suddenly opens up those questions that business as normal you never really put on the table. Thank you so much for that, Nigel.
We stopped production on the 24th of March, I think it was, just the day after Boris announced the lockdown. Pretty much all my customers rang that next day and said, put our jobs on hold, we're stopping work, we're not doing anything. So we took the rest of the day to tidy up, finish what we could safely, and leave the place safe and sound. For about 4 weeks, I think we were out. 3 of us, the key directors, have been working, quoting, keeping up to date, keeping up to speed with all the communications. In fact, we've quoted as many quotes with 1.5 people as we normally do with 6 over the time period. Working from home and just really getting stuck into it. I came back, I've led the team back to production 3 weeks ago. We've got a skeleton staff, we've got around about 25%, just over a dozen people on board at the moment. And like you, Bob, we found that we're getting better productivity with 12 people than we would with probably 25. So, and we normally have 45 on the production scheme. One thing that's become apparent to me is the distancing and the changes we've made already, and we're going to have to make for getting everybody back on board. And I think that a lot of companies are going to struggle as well to get everybody back on one basic 8-hour shift or 7.5-hour shift, whatever you work. I think we're looking at the moment, we're going to have to split into a 2-shift system to get back to full production, full staff employment.
Yeah, and of course you've made a significant investment in the factory in the last 12 months to pretty much streamline
all the time in,
to improve, I guess, efficiencies and productivity. And almost to the day when you're about to really open that up, you've had that. How's that been a sort of a wrench on the mindset, having geared yourself up to be able to really relaunch and then having to sort of go back to square one again?
Well, obviously it's a concern. We're having to look at the financial side of things and make sure we can come through this. But I'm confident we'll get through it. We've been in tough time, never as tough as this, I admit. But we've been through many recessions. We've been in business 30 odd years now, so we've got a bit of a track record behind us to get through tough situations. And I think with a bit of inventiveness and a bit of goodwill and God willing for the rest of the business in the world, in the whole world really, to get going. I think there's a big hinge around this weekend. If we get a bit of a notion to people to get back to work, I think that'll start the ball rolling.
Good, thank you. And Tony?
To echo Nigel's point, really, I think that the Monday night that Boris stood up and started talking about manufacturing and what was essential and what wasn't essential caused havoc and confusion amongst many people, whether they should be working or not working. So all of our customers are large machinery builders, and some took that as a message to go in, turn the lights off, lock the doors and send everybody home. And we had other companies that weren't affected at all. So overall, very mixed bag for us client-wise. Net result was revenue dropped by about 30 to 40%, which, although not great, was viable. To pick up on Nigel's point also, we also split the shifts immediately anyway. So in regards to social distancing, even with a reduced order book, we put everybody onto a split shift pattern. Obviously people working from home, etc., etc. So that was all done. We got quite heavily involved with the UK ventilator challenge, which was a real positive for the business. Gave everybody a real sense of purpose. So we had people working every hour God send over the Easter holidays, Easter breaks, working 24/7, producing over sort of 30,000 assemblies going into the Penlon ventilators. So that was it's been great that unified the whole business. I think to echo the point everyone's made really is the new normal will be just that, it will be new. And every company is looking long and hard at their current structures and wanting, and we've done this, Neil, anyway, that is really measuring people's expectations that when the job retention scheme ends, on the very next day, not everybody's going to come skipping back into work. That businesses will be looking at how effective, how productive they've been with different levels of people. And, it's a horrible thing to say, but we can all basically accept that across businesses, across manufacturing and the service sectors, there'll be redundancies. and the job retention scheme has done, I guess you could say, a good job buying time, but I actually don't think the net result's going to be greatly different.
Yeah, I agree. And I think just if I stay with you for a second, Tony, have you made any adaptations at all to your business model over the last couple of months, or had to pivot or anything like that at all?
Well, in terms of what general, well, outside of working from home, some furloughing, split shifts, or all of the above, really. We've had to be quite creative in terms of, as I said, we've had the situation where on one side the order book's reduced, and on the other side we've had an influx of orders that needed turning around in time frames that were ludicrous. Ventilator challenge, but it just showed what could be achieved with a relatively small team. But something that unified everybody and delivered at pace. Yeah.
And have you found that you've been surprised with the way some people have stepped up, other people have maybe...
Absolutely. I always say when everything's running well in a business, you don't always see your superstars, and equally one or two people can go under the radar and not quite pulling the weight. So when you get something like this, you really see those that step up once again and are absolutely brilliant. That they just come from nowhere, one or two of them. A lot of the people that stepped up, we'd have expected it, quite frankly. That's why they're in the high-performing team. But we had some real, very pleasant surprises with people. Equally, we had one or two people at quite a senior level that also demonstrated that when the pressure was on, they struggled.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that. Nigel, anything to add on that at all?
Yeah, I could echo quite a bit of what Tony's saying there. We've sort of set our model really for this year. We've reduced our desire for turnover and reduced that down to a 70% model of what we were budgeting. So we're setting everything up really to work to that, which I think could see less staff returning, certainly in the end of June when the job retention starts to devalue or disappear. I think that's going to be a big issue that the government's going to have to find something to fill the lack of companies taking everybody back on in the short term, because I don't think it's not like switching a light on. You can't just turn everything back on. It's going to have to ramp up, and I think that'll take a bit of confidence and a little bit of time.
Thank you.
So yeah, we've reduced capital expenditure as well, changed the business model on that down to the bare bones as to what we need to put on capex. So again, that's going to affect jobs elsewhere because we've changed what our priorities are.
Good, thank you. Bob, how about you?
Oh, it's interesting listening to this call, Neil. It really is. I can hold a mirror up to a lot of things that everybody said. We're all in that same boat. I think for us, our model was, about 20% of our business is international, and we used to just jump on a plane face to face. We thought that's the only way to do it. We couldn't believe that you could look at engineering drawings, really get down and dirty on a Teams or a Zoom situation and not travel. And we are now looking at every budget line and we're thinking, no, we're not going to do that. We can even add money and margin to the business and save costs. So heads are one thing, different processes now, using this technology. Everybody, we were shit scared years ago, saying, oh, nobody will work at home. Martin's too old for that. And Julie's not this. And When push came to shove, they got on with it. A lot of people got on with it. And it's shown us now that all bets are off. We can absolutely now look at the process with clean, sheet and have a go at all these things that are in those books that you guys read. So for us, it's an opportunity. I know that we're saying, of course we've picked it pants. We've had no revenue in, but fortunately we've got an order book to get at. We've got a maintenance stream to rely upon. We've missed 2 months, probably 3 by the time we get back of those maintenance. We will catch up. Some customers won't want to come back. They'll think, oh, we'll skip a year. So there's going to be a revenue impact. Our 50,000 a week of new business probably will turn into 30, 35. We've even done 60k of in lockdown in the last 5 or 6 weeks, and I'd have eaten Somebody told me we were going to get something out of it. And yeah, we've been here before. We've been through these things before. It was interesting, somebody's been in business on the call for 30 odd years. I remember asking one of our family members, what was it like? And somebody said, oh, well, in the Boer War, it was pretty bloody tough. So we've seen our fair share of the ups and downs, and we will get through this. We've got cash is king. But can I turn the tail and ask a question of you? It's an important one to me.
Go on.
We are now starting the process of revising the budget, looking at every line, saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. Preservation of the business is key. It'd be lovely to keep everybody on board. We're all resetting our revenue expectations for sure. Is the expectation out there, guys, that break even this year is going to be a great result? Because I've got to present to the board, and I want to know whether I'm going to get laughed out of the club.
Okay.
I think that's a fair shout for our business anyway. If we can break even, that's about all we've predicted, just about a break even.
Good. Anyone else want to add to that?
Well, I guess everyone's, as you said, every business dynamics are different, and shareholders and expectations can be different. I think if I suggested we have a Canadian investment company behind us, I think if I suggested the best we'd do this year was break even, I might be after a job tomorrow. But what I do think we've all got is this year, I think we've got a get out of jail card. I think in a bit like 2008, when we look at business results of businesses, whether we're looking at it from a point of view of a customer, a supplier, maybe an M&A opportunity, etc. Most of us historically have looked at the numbers and just forgot about the blip in 2008. And I think there'll be the same scenario in 2020. I think, what I'm saying to our team now is that 2020 is not really about the result anymore. It's about doing all the right things to make sure that we come out of it so fit and strong and fighting fit that 2021 hopefully will be a blinding year, but do all the stuff that we have to do and almost forget about the result. The result will be the result will be the results. We have to do our very best for it, but it's more about doing the right things in 2020 now, I think.
2021.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony. Ashley, just going back to that sort of, if you had to sort of change the model at all, and is there any other answer to Bob's other question he just posed as well?
No, I think you've been to our place, haven't you? And I think NCS toured it. I think that's when they
did. Yeah.
So I think our model changed 7 or 8 years ago, and for this, it's kind of like water off a duck's back, to be honest, because we change our business model changes daily. So in terms of the way we handle processes and change things, changes daily. There's nothing that's static that allows us to change. I think if we had to look at something, I'll be honest, we don't actually look at any numbers, which might surprise a lot of people, but I don't really care. But whatever we do it well every day. It always hits the bottom line anyway. So we are working with a guy for a little while, Steve Gandy, which I think Benjamin knows. I think he interviewed. And he's helped us out a little bit. He's very much numbers generated. But we kind of just worry about what happened yesterday, what we're going to fix today, make tomorrow better, and go from there. So if we was $500,000 down, I'd consider it as, well, it's just been $500,000 invested in being a better future for next year. I don't see it as a loss. I just think, well, we've still been here, we've still spent time. I mean, in terms of capital investment and stuff, I'm buying as much as I'll spend as much as I can spend right now because it's the cheapest anything that's ever been. So I'm trying to figure out what machinery I can buy now for products that I don't even know I'm going to make yet. I'm trying to find a CNC machine for timber. We've got no product range or anything for that, but I just want one, and now's going to be the best time to buy it because people need to sell stuff and make money and stay in business. So I'm trying to figure out what I can invest in so that next year is even better anyway. But yeah, you've seen our place. We host factory tours, and for everyone wants to come and tour around and learn how we do what we do, because we're reasonably unique, I think, in our approach to stuff, as you've seen. So I don't think we'll change anything. It's more the same.
Very good. Yeah, and we'll come back to that in a second when we think about the sort of processes you use. Ian, anything to add from your perspective, Ian?
Well, from our point of view, the business model isn't going to change as much. the demand for housing is still there. I've been talking to the network, and I get the feeling that other people's businesses and developers and house builders, they've been inundated with inquiries, believe it or not, and some houses that we are building speculatively, they've got people hanging over all of them, subject to valuations and internal inspections, and then I just, agents and whatever. I've been talking to them, and it's pleasantly surprising to hear. Now, I would have thought that it would have dropped off a cliff, housing would, but no, it seems to still be there, and house prices still seem to be grasping in there as well. So it sort of surprises me a little bit, but I do gather maybe what's been happening, that people have taken the opportunity to take some respite over the last few weeks. They've finished their own houses off, they've tidied it up, they've tidied the garden, etc. I mean, you all might be all advocate to that maybe, and they've been looking on Rightmove. The figures on Rightmove have just gone absolutely through the roof with people looking at property. So there is a massive pent-up demand there. So that's my gut feeling. Contracts are still coming through. Signed one this morning. I had to go over to. I met somebody halfway through it on the A50. Signed some contracts for another 31 houses. So and they're all pre-sold. So the area that we're in, with the 2 beds, the 3 beds, and the apartments, they're flying out the door, and there's a massive demand, and I can't see that. I can just see it, the demand building up, because perhaps where people will have moved to a higher spec housing, maybe a 4 bed, maybe they will just come back down to a 3 bed. So it just compresses that area that we're in.
Very good, thank you. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, we've been massively affected, I'd say, both negatively and positively. One of the hardest things for everybody in the business to swallow before this happened was that the previous 6 weeks were perhaps one of our best 6 weeks in the last 18 months. So it wasn't a gradual decline, it was an upwards trajectory and then a drop off the cliff. The previous 6 weeks, we just brought four new members onto the team as well. The thing with a state agency is we've obviously been through this, as Ian will attribute to, and everybody will attribute to, in 2007 when we had the recession. But back then we could still arrange viewings, we could still arrange valuations, whereas it was obvious we weren't going to be able to do that. So not only for a state agency is it a loss of future sales, we've also got transactions that are going through the pipeline that were potentially going to fall through as well due to a change in people's circumstances and financial situations. So we took quite drastic action early on, furloughed a lot of the business, planned for the worst but expected the best. So we had a loss of income, obviously, because we've not been able to arrange viewings, which is the start of any sale. We had a loss of momentum, and we had to furlough a large part of the team, which is absolutely heartbreaking because we have got such a fantastic team that do really care about what they do. But on the positive side, we're still getting lots of inquiries. I would definitely mirror what Ian said there, particularly over the last sort of 2 to 3 weeks. It's really stepped up. People are aware that they can't go and view properties, but they're registering interest in wanting to view properties once we're allowed out again. We're getting plenty of valuation requests coming through for people that are getting ready to come on the market when we're free and when things are relaxed on the lockdown. We've also been able to go back to basics and do some of those things that are always important but aren't necessarily urgent. So myself and my business partner and a member of the family, Alison, we've been looking again at why are we here? What makes us different from the competition? What are our core values? What's our purpose? What are our 1 year and 3 year goals? So that once again we're let out, we can attack on the front foot and get back to being our best as quickly as possible. But by far the biggest positive, as everybody else has already said on the call, is just the commitment, the camaraderie, the dedication and the hard work of the people, not just who have stayed in the business, and they've been an absolute credit to Hannells. We hear lots of feedback from other customers out there who are trying to move but can't get in touch with their agent, whereas we're still going despite the challenges, and the team have been great. But also even those that have been furloughed and aren't with us at the moment, the positive messages that we've been getting, the support that we've been getting, it just gives you that extra motivation to keep going. So that's been a really big positive amongst all the negatives as well. But it definitely looks like, you know, there is a pent up demand from people who wanted to move before. They still want to move now, and the economy is often a reflection of the property market. So it's anybody's best guess, but we are planning for not a huge increase in transactions straight away, but certainly a steady increase, and we don't see it going further down. We're looking for it building up, and once we get to Q1 2021, you know, we're right back on it. Things are going as they were before.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, you're going to the catalyst for this conversation from last week, when we were really talking about the importance of having a spring clean right now, this golden opportunity to do in your business what you have probably been meaning to do for many years, just can't put it up because you're way too busy. So that got us on this conversation of lean, a conversation of processes and systems and all those things. And then this notion of 2-second leans. I'm going to talk to you firstly, Ashley, because I'm intrigued about, we obviously use different processes and ways to improve the business model. Just talk to us for a minute about 2-second lean, why you're a great advocate of it, and how you put it into practice in your business.
Okay, kind of like a minute nutshell. So this is the book from Paul Akers that I ended up, about 7 years ago, with my head in my hands. I'd taken the company over, a steel fabrication company over from my father, and I'm a software developer by trade, so I'm all logic and processes and everything else, and he's all old school, shout at people and beat them with a stick and hide the carrot. So it was definitely a different industry for me to go into, and I pretty much had enough. Found this book, read that, contacted the author Paul, and become good friends. We speak most days. I've travelled the world because of it. I've been to Japan with him and learned all about the kind of the lean methodology that he's taken. And basically, if you take the Toyota production system, Paul took that and distilled it down to what kind of the common guy can operate in a business, as opposed to the Rolls-Royce or BA Systems. People who are operating with thousands of people that have managers for everything. It's, you put the common guy that's got 20 people in a factory needs something simpler. So for us, 2-second lean is we meet half an hour in the morning. The whole company, nobody's allowed to work for the first half an hour, and you can't do anything productive. So we're all 3S. We clean, we sweep, sort, and standardise. So everybody has chores to do: emptying the bins, cleaning toilets. We don't have cleaners. We're all on a rota, so I'll clean the toilets. Everybody does everything. It's a level playing field, so there's no hierarchy with that. We get our chores done, and then that half an hour, everybody is tasked to make 1 2-second improvement. So they just need to change something that improves the company or their life by 2 seconds. You set the bar low so everybody can achieve it. But we have things where somebody takes 20 minutes to change something, and it saved us 5 hours a week in production on the steel saw. Huge things come from it. So we do that for half an hour, and then we come together as a company for another half an hour to 40 minutes for a company-wide meeting. We all stand in the factory, and we go through what we're all grateful for. We talk through our principles, our values. So we pick people at random, say, tell us our 3 values. We'll pick somebody at random, say, explain that one. What's passion? What does that mean to us as a company? So we're all on the same page. We all kind of read the books as a book club. So we talk about some of the books we're reading. We'll watch videos, something like Dale Carnegie, it could be anything. Everybody in the company rotates around hosting that morning meeting. So it builds better leadership out of people. Train everybody to be a leader. So it's a good equalizer. Everybody has a voice. It's a safe place to talk and discuss the issues. We want to know what went wrong yesterday. There's no blame in there of why it went wrong. I just want to know, what did you do this morning in your 3S time and improvement time? Did you do something that's at least a grade C solution so that doesn't happen today? Does it impact the customer? Does it impact us? Does it impact safety? So we take 30, 40 minutes to discuss that. And only when kind of all that's done, we then start the day. So it's kind of lean first and production second. But then throughout the day, if there's anything where somebody has an improvement, they're allowed to stop work, stop the entire production line, whatever they want to do, they can go do it to make that improvement if that's going to make a difference to us. And there's no necessarily management authorization or anything like that for anybody to go and change anything anywhere in the company. The kind of people are trained, they know if it's some big thing they want to change or discuss it. But in general, because it's only a small improvement, then it's not going to take much to reverse it, because we review it the next day in the morning meeting. People shoot videos, so if you improve something, shoot a video. So the next morning it covers all my training, my safety, my information by showing everybody that video. And we do that every day. So it's pretty much cycling it through for 24 hours. So Paul's a great guy that helps us. We're part of a whole lean community. There's a UK lean community that's come together, that there's going to be a summit for the first time next year. But we were part of creating the first World Summit for that with Paul. It's been running every year for the past 4 or 5 years. And we just follow that every day. And because people want to know how we do what we do, I mean, one of our competitors got to the point where they couldn't compete with us, so we invited them for a factory tour, and then we bought them out. Pretty much. So that ended well. We're kind of heading towards another possible acquisition at some point, I'd have thought. But yeah, you know, our competitors manufacture. They stock a lot of items, and they manufacture. If it's anything else that's larger scale or bespoke, you're looking at 15, 20 days to get hold of something. We manufacture and ship in 24 hours if you need it, no matter what it is. It's normally the vehicle that we struggle with, not making it. So we host factory tours to be able to, so people can come and tour and spend half a day with us and talk to everybody in the factory. And my guys in the factory host the tour and stuff. That helps them become better leaders. There's no cost for it. It's all free. Everybody can learn. Like I say, the NCS came to see us, and the police got wind of it. They come, and now they were sending 20 officers down every couple of weeks, and we now go out to them and teach and train and show them what we do and how we do it. And that's all come from Paul. If anybody wants a copy of the book, Paul's kind of let me be the one that publishes them in the UK. So I've got these. If anybody wants one, message me. I'll send you one for free.
Yeah, and we'll put the shortcut to the FastCap website.
Yeah, put it on there. The audiobook's free anyway if you go on his site. But if you want one, don't order it. Just let me know and I'll send you one. Perfect.
Thank you so much. Nigel, you went and visited Ashley's site probably 3 or 4 years ago.
We did, yeah, about 4 years ago, yeah.
What were the key takeouts for you and the team, having seen that and inspired you to sort of take some of the best practice into your business?
Yeah, I don't think we've taken enough yet. The way Ashley's described it there, we're probably about 15% that way at the most. We sort of keep coming against roadblocks and trying to get back to it. And over the years, we get a surge on it, and then it falls away a little bit as just general demand and chaos in our industry takes over, and everybody panics to try and get work out the door. And this time, whilst we've not been working, it has given me time to reflect on the 2-second lean and how we really need to just get back to the basics of it and do the simple things and do the little things that make the bigger changes. And I think people can be guilty of trying to do a big change when you need to change a lot of smaller things. So yeah, we use some of that methodology, and we try and concentrate on the 8 wastes that are always around in the business and dragging you down, basically trying to get a grip on those and manage those, and linking those with the sort of our core values and trying to manage people. The emphasis, I think, in most businesses has got to be on the people, and if you get the right people with the right mindset, then you've got a half a chance of having a decent, solid business.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really managing the people and training the people and letting them grow, really.
Excellent. Tony, over to you. And I know you've got a number of initiatives you've been running across PP. Just talk to us about those and how you focus on lean and process improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the business is involved with lean for the best part of 20 years. We founded our training school 19 years ago, brought our first sort of continuous improvement people in, made the classic mistake of bringing a 6 Sigma black belt out of the automotive industry. That, of course, new automotive, we make a batch of one, not a batch of 1,000, etc. So, but we sort of developed our own internal training school. We developed our own training roadmap over a number of years, developed our own material for that roadmap, and it was all very successful. Some of our customers are Japanese customers, so we had the chance to learn with them and off them as well in terms of lean. But that got us to a position maybe about 5 years ago where You know, most people in our business and most people that looked into our business thought we were fairly good. And then when I was over in Germany about 5 years ago on a Mittelstand, so we're looking at some similar German businesses to us, I suddenly realised that although we were reasonably good by UK standards, we probably weren't good compared to maybe best in class in the likes of Germany. I remember coming back from that trip saying to our guys, it's a bit like winning the Premiership. And I'm a Liverpool fan, so I've waited 30 years and hope it's not going to get screwed up, by the way. But so it's a bit like winning the Premiership and then thinking you're good. You go in the Champions League and you meet Munich and they beat you 5-0. So you thought you were good, but you've now got a different set of benchmarks. And I came back and said to our co-directors, I think we're 20 or 30% behind some of the best in class businesses that I've just visited around the Stuttgart area. But we said if we sort of, you know, and bearing in mind, we thought we were fairly good. So we came up with this concept of Route 6. And Route 6 was based around putting measurement systems in place and additional pro forma information, a badge system, a reward system, how everybody could contribute towards something that could be relatively small step improvements, but contributed towards a 6% improvement across the organisation, hence the word 6. And anyone that contributed got a badge, little coloured badge, lapel badge. We refined it over the years, but basically it was just a way of engaging people behind the brand. Cutting a long story short, took us about 6 months to achieve the first 6%. Fast forward 5 years, we're now on our 7th coloured badge, so we're approaching 42% improvements. And that's made a monumental difference to the bottom line, to our effectiveness, to our agility, to our response time to customers, to everything. And it really is, a very decluttered, very simple system of how people in every department, a bit like Ashley was just saying with 2-second lean, some of the improvements can be a big improvement, be monumental. Some of them might be an improvement that, you know, is relatively small, but when you get 20 of them all in a row, they constitute something quite big. So Route 6 for us has been our brand of continuous improvement. It's part of our project own goal, part of our scoreboard, so it's part of our measures, so people can see how we're contributing. They now are actually rewarded points on like a Tesco point card system. They contribute to get points make prizes. We put it on a Twitter feed internally. We have it on dashboards around the factory. A bit like Ashley was saying, we use videos, we use photographs, we celebrate things, and it's just a way of getting people engaged in it.
Very good. Thank you so much. Bob, anything that you do in terms of Smith?
We were heavily engaged, or we are heavily engaged in a large project in the Middle East. Just before lockdown, we started ramping up our approach and execute it. And so I'd already made those commitments, and then we locked down. So fortunately, I had some very good brains on. I take the point about coming from the automotive industry, making thousands of something, but we also make one of everything. Yeah. And so we're having to sort of make sure we can adapt a lot of these ideas and processes for our business. But also it sounds like we're quite a bit behind a lot of people on the call here, because I'm listening to some of these ideas and they're fantastic. We started with workplace organization and just going straight back to basics of what's essential and what's not essential, and making sure that we've got everything in its place and has a place. And you know, it sounds noddy, but to us, because we've only ever made a bespoke item, we weren't worried about, you know, overly worried about the minutiae of process. And yet we've had to look at our competitors. We've had to go international where cranes are still whizzing around, and we're now competing against the Germans, against Americans, and we've had to up our game, and that's great. And yeah, I'm gonna certainly take Ashley's invitation up. Yeah, I'll be knocking on your door tomorrow. I will wear a mask, but I'll be there, and I'll have one of them books. But so we've got a lot to do, Neil. But interestingly, everybody on this call says to me that a lot of it's doable, and at any size of firm, if you just have a plan. And we're currently in this. We have a 6S process we're working through at the moment. We're literally in the first 1 or 2 of those, and we have a plan, act, check, do sort of mentality thing going on. Probably got that even on the wrong way, but yeah, we're excited about the future, and it's great. Some of these ideas to me can say we can actually embrace it and bring on board some things that we thought were going to be very difficult. You know, we suffer from that. We've always done it this way. It's fantastic that some employees are celebrating their 50th year of business. Wow. this year. That's great. It's also, part of the challenges that we have.
Yeah, thank you so much. And let's head to the construction industry now, Ian. And for you, I guess processes are important. What do you use to continue to improve the way that you're building houses, the way that you are manufacturing more or constructing houses more efficiently and effectively?
It's what we've looked at and what we've adopted is a system of part modular. Okay. Whereas, for example, if you were to walk into any of our houses, you'd say, yeah, this is a traditionally built house, but actually it's not. Yes, we have got the resource of the bricklayers, which a lot of developers don't have. So we've got that at our core in our core, and that enables us to really to do what we do, which is a little bit niche, and that's why we get away with what we're doing. But to be quite honest, those houses at Ashbourne on the 1st of January, they were still in the ground. Coming up to the end of March, we handed over all 11 on time. But that specific phase was all handed over on time, completely finished. And we got, actually, they were finished 10 days earlier than that, because people then had to get them ready for actually moving in. So we got people moving in at the end of March on houses that were still in the ground in January. So we've adapted to to a speed, to efficiency, and in that respect, the houses that we build are part modular, and the timber frame will come along on site. That will be put down on the foundation, and the timber frame, as it's something that we've developed with a manufacturer, that it becomes fully it comes fully insulated. It comes with a roof on. It comes with a first floor set of stairs. It's all first fixed. So as the actual building is lowered into place, give it a few days to settle, and we just bolt it together and nail it together, and in broad wow. in raw terms, we can then start bricklaying on the outside and plasterboarding on the inside. So that from that point onwards, it's about 8 weeks to finish a house.
Amazing.
Whereas traditionally, it will probably have been 16. So we're cutting build times in half. People like them because it's got a tiled roof, it's got a brick outer, and any of ours, and I'll tell you now, look traditional, and they are basically traditional hard-wearing houses, but no different. You get a mortgage on them, they NHBC, everything, and but it's speed and efficiency, and it's an accepted building method.
Wow. I think it reminds me, Tony, of the when we were down in London, and one of my coaching colleagues, Christo, showed this video of a robotic built house. Yeah. I think would it take them was it a day or 2 days?
That was so ridiculous, wasn't it, Jim?
Yeah. So I mean, it just shows the technology, and we know that right now 3D printing, that sort of robotics is going to be significant in terms of automation. I would imagine that will come out of this thing. So, but we're in the people game. All of us have got people, and even though we're making process improvements, no doubt there are pushbacks, there is resistance. People make mistakes, make errors still. So I think the final thing I'd just like to sort of think about is, what's the resistance you find, or what are the challenges you find when you're trying to put in improvement processes to your business, and what sort of tips have you got to keep people fully engaged, fully focused on the process in mind? Tony, if I can start with you on that particular question, please.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake is tell people the why, not the what. Let them understand what they're involved in, why they're doing it. I mean, I remember the very first time, we started doing things like value stream mapping, etc., and time and motion. Once you start going onto the shop floor with a stopwatch or a video camera, the initial thought is you're trying to catch me out, and you just say it's nothing to do with catching you out at all. We're looking at waste that's not invited. We want to make sure that we can make you the most productive person. That means you've got all the right tools in the right place, with the right material, with the right build information. You don't need to go wandering off looking for a screwdriver because you haven't got the right thing in the right place, you're a part missing. So just get people on board to make them realise, it's the why, not just the what to do.
Great.
And the other thing I'd say is don't underestimate the value of the little things. And by little things, I mean simple thank yous, acknowledgements, little rewards and recognition. Because it might seem insignificant sometimes to myself or another MD CEO that sat there, but to the person on the receiving end, it's huge.
Yeah. Oh, what a tip! What a tip, Nigel.
Yeah, I can echo some of those points from Tony. I've made a couple of notes on there. Pretty much, I got to get the people's mindsets right, which is really sort of, like you say, you're not telling them what to do, you're asking them and showing them why we're doing it and what the end goal is and the reasons behind why you're assessing any kind of production activity, because they're suspicious people, and they think you're trying to catch them out, or the plans are underlying for different reasons, and trying to get across that everything's in it for the end goal, and having these little wins and rewarding within the business is a great idea. We do it through our annual bonus scheme, and we a pat on the back to anybody that's done a good job is worth $1 million to me, because they don't always get a pat on the back when they do a good job. They get a rollicking if they've screwed something up, but if they get a pat on the back when they made a good job, you can see people sort of illuminate and enthuse at the next time you give them an opportunity to do something. So I think the little baby steps of doing the little things and doing it right is the tip I would give, and make sure you sort of pat people on the back.
Culture recognition, yeah, I think that's
obviously we can't do it with the 2 meter thing.
A long arm.
Yeah. Pat with a long stick on the back. Very good. Bob.
Yeah, I think, and it sometimes it's not just the bonus scheme. We introduced a company-wide bonus scheme as well to make sure we're trying to say thank you. And sometimes what I've asked the management team to do is give somebody, you just say, go and get a pizza with the family, when you could. Yeah. But go and get a pizza with the family. Let's have that. That's, give us the invoice. Or what is it that your mum and dad like to do? But we've got a good apprenticeship scheme at work, but we're trying to integrate families as well to make sure that we build a loyalty program and stuff like that. We spend a lot on the training, and it's very easy to get, to stand in a pub and hear that somebody working at bigger firms on more money, and it's dead easy to go. So we have to make sure that it's a long time to a Christmas bonus or to when the company's done well. We try to spread our pats on the back far and wide, really, and try and work out what's important to people. And that could be a ticket to a show somewhere. So I challenge all the team to sort of be creative about the thank yous. But also the sensitivity in going back now is people are going to be very worried, and I think we're a lot of our proportion of our team are furloughed. We may have to, when we do this budget thing, we'll probably have to keep on that sort of level of pay as well for a while longer. We're no strangers to short time and stuff, but I do feel that we're going to have to be very careful to make sure that people are respected and we have a respect for the individual.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to be very careful with
be a lot of worried people out there. When we've been through tough times like this before, Neil, it's usually been either our fault or a construction sector issue that we've had to deal with. Okay, that's not the case this time, and we're all in it in the same boat together. And it's not so easy for our guys to say, oh, well, Smiths are treating me badly, I'll go elsewhere. Where are they going to go? Now, of course, people with high skills will always find great jobs somewhere else. And so I don't take that lightly, and I'm not my laurels with that. But we're all in it together this time. And I think that when I get round my suppliers, when I get round to unlocking, getting back together and back on stream, everyone on this call is going to be doing processes differently. Everyone's going to be got the same worries in their workforce. So I think how we interact, how we communicate with our suppliers, our partners, we're going to be stronger, but also I think we're going to be closer with all of that supply chain. I think we've all had this moment to reflect, a moment to say, hey, isn't it great to be doing it again together? Yeah. So let's do it differently.
Yeah,
very good. This time.
Great point. Thank you. Ian, how about you?
Right. With the way that I see things, and the way that maybe staff and employees, people are people, aren't they? And folks are folks, and they're human beings. And there are people that will embrace change, and then there's people that resist things, don't they? And and I'm sure that there are a lot of worried people out there in our business and everybody else's business. But what I try and do at the absolute outset when we're hiring is that the type of person that we take on, I try and judge them at an early part, and especially in probation period as well, that we are taking on positive, like-minded people, right? And those positive, like-minded people have got your or my business at their heart. Whatever the wage is really secondary, and money is secondary. That the value and the business and the value and the core values are felt by the people in the business. And if I can judge those people as being positive, don't always get it right, don't get me wrong, but those people can see the advantages of change rather than trying to resist the change. So it's really back to basics with that, and whatever we've got to do, we'll do it. We'll be digging deep, and we will be making it happen no matter what. And that it's that type of person that we've got, hopefully, in the business, and at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to really push our businesses forward.
Great point. I think that notion of having a growth mindset, a can-do attitude, when you come to changes, is so important. Now, just duck to one side for a minute, because I've literally grabbed the book as well. And what impressed me is, in 2 seconds,
have you just given it to Neil, actually?
It's amazing. The process that we developed just a few minutes ago using a pigeon and some posts, it was just Paul talks about how to grow people and build a fun and lean culture. Yeah. But it's all, we're just the last few minutes just talking about people, the importance of people first and foremost. So in terms of this, last sort of voice to you, Ashley, on this one, because again, I just want to reflect on someone who's been doing this for a while, who's coaching others around this thing. What are the things that you put in place just to make sure that
well, I think what the situation we're in now is kind of, because we took that decision to go the 2-second lean route some years ago, the fruition of it is that we're not really affected by the situation now, because everybody can adapt and survive to what we're doing. I would sort of quickly say, working in reverse, there's a couple of notes I made it is about people. Our hiring process is really simple. You shoot a 2-minute video of why you'd like to work for us. If you don't shoot that video, we won't even interview you. And the amount of people that won't shoot that video is astounding. And we used to use agencies. We now try through LinkedIn and other ways, but the amount of people that would come to an agency and they'd say, we've got this great candidate. Say, okay, get them shoot a 2-minute video of why they want to work for us. Don't read the CV. We're not interested in CVs. Just shoot us a video, because our culture internally is we're shooting videos and things all the time, and that it's just what we do in the way we work. We need to know they fit with our culture. So I hire people for their character, and I'll train them for their skills. So our sort of monthly to quarterly employee reviews, not a single item in there really reviews them on their skill set of what they do. It's 99% reviews them on their character as a person. That's what we're looking at all the time. So the only time I fire people is because they're not a cultural fit, not because they do something wrong or screw something up. It's their attitude and reactions towards things of why they would or wouldn't be working with me. So it's based on them being a cultural fit. One thing I say at the minute is, whilst a lot of companies are not possibly going to be taking everybody back, it does also mean, like the housing market, there's going to be a lot of people there that are kind of looking for work, that are good people still. There's going to be a better gene pool around at the minute, for want of a better word, to hire from. It's just how you latch onto those people. In terms of the change of things internally for us and how we do our processes with people and the people that may resist or not, we have a Gemba board, and people are encouraged every day that if you struggle with something or something bugs you, go write it down on that board. So in the next morning meeting, we'll pick through that and review and say, you know, this, you put down that this was bugging you. Why did it bug you? Have you done anything about it this morning? Improvement time? Do you need somebody to help you? Do you need to spend any money on it? What ideas have you got? Can we thrash that out? Do we need a separate? Go get a coffee? You know, that kind of, so we can fix our problems on a daily basis. People writing on the boards. Beyond that, you get to notice who doesn't write things down, so you can see the people that maybe are less engaged. So that's when we can notice who doesn't write stuff and go out on the shop floor and or in the offices and talk to them and say, you know, what bugs you? What bugged you yesterday? Well, if you've got the perfect job, can we swap? Yeah, because I'd probably enjoy yours way more if you're telling me that nothing bugged you during the day. But you know, what's bugging you? Or if you see somebody with something, you look like you're struggling with that. And most people just say, well, that's just my job. That's what I do. You know, I have to lift this on here. I have to turn that through. I say, well, if I had to do that, that would bug me. So if you've got to do it, you know, today, you know, that's kind of on me that you've got a job that we've got a system in place that's kind of wrong. But if you have to do the same thing tomorrow that bugs you, that's on you, because I paid you for half an hour to be able to fix stuff that bugs you. So, you know, let's work on that. If you're struggling with something, let's fix it. So it's down to that kind of processes we encourage a lot of, so people know they have the ability to change things. It's not this bugs me, management are going to look at it and fix it. It's no, management's going to come talk to you and you're going to fix it, and we're going to see what help you need to do that. And you're going to shoot a video, and we're going to share that on YouTube so that everybody else in the world can learn. And probably, you know, we get our video shown in all sorts of places and companies, and we get videos sent back saying, we're just showing your video in a morning meeting, great response, can you shoot us another video on how this bit works? And then, you know, it makes another connection. So that's good for us. And then you start getting a little competition of people saying, in the factory, my videos had like 300 hits, yours only had 200 hits. So everybody then wants to start shooting videos. We are looking, we don't necessarily incentivize anything. We started a monthly get together for the whole company where I'll pay for the catering and everything. Everybody come together. We'll tell you what the business is doing for the next month, what kind of crazy ideas I've got and what I want to try, I might need help implementing for the next 4 weeks. This is what we did last 4 weeks, and did it work, did it not? We get to share people's videos and improvements that maybe haven't come up, or what's our favourite improvement. We have a Wheel of Fortune that we spin, so with 3 people that kind of get the best improvements for the month, or feel we've had the best benefit into the company. Whoever turned up to the meeting first, whoever turned up with a pad and a pen, so they're actually going to make some notes and look like they want to be engaged, they get to spin the wheel. Whatever you can think of, is encouraging that engagement. And the wheel can be anything from, you know, you win £10, £50, a meal out, a food voucher, whatever, a mystery box, that kind of thing. And we are looking at quarterly and offsite, which would have been whilst this has happened, but I did book a venue that I kept secret, but I got a nice place. I got one of the big conference rooms at the Derbyshire Hotel actually, and got that fully, was going to be fully catered and things for everybody to come into, but unfortunately that's not happened. And regarding monetary, I pay more than whatever the job is worth, really. I pay over the odds so that people are paid well, and that's not necessarily the thing that you have to worry about. But you've got to be on it. Yeah. You know, you've got to be on it, you've got to be improving, you've got to shoot videos, you've got to be engaged, you've got to be reading books, you've got to self-educate. So right now I've got a messenger chat that we have for the company. If somebody makes an improvement, they drop it in there so everybody can see it. That way it gives somebody a chance straight away to say, hang on a minute, you've just changed that, and you know, I'm not working there today, but that would affect me. We run the book club through that. So I'm messaging people that are furloughed now saying, I've just read this book this week. Here's my takeaways. What books have you read? What are your takeaways? If they shoot a video of their book review, spin on the Wheel of Fortune, things like that. And we are looking at potentially to change to throughput accounting. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. It's kind of, I think it's reasonably new in the UK. It's bigger in the States, but it's basically you put everything. I mean, we share all the finances with the company, with everybody in the company anyway. Everybody knows where the money goes. There's no secrets. But the throughput accounting is it's affected instantly. Anything ships from the company for us if you're manufacturing. It works in most companies. But you basically just take your overheads and everything that goes out, just draw that as your average line for the month, and then it's cumulatively daily. So every time you ship something, you just take what you sold it for less materials. So your labour and everything else is just in that one line. So we know, for argument's sake, if we're doing 70 grand a month to run the company, once we get to 70 grams worth of on that line, we know anything above that is sheer profit. So we say at the end of the month, you get a percentage of that. And what it means is people see it real time that if something screws up on a job and that's reworked and that takes more time, more stuff didn't ship, they see that dip immediately. So straight away the next day they go, well, hang on, everybody's bonus just dropped because of what happened yesterday. So we're looking at switching towards that because it puts the money in profit and bonus into the hands of the people that are doing the job.
Very good. Very good. It's great ideas there. Thank you so much for sharing those. Anything else to add, Ben, from your perspective? You're on mute. The man is so used to coordinating all these so well.
I know it's funny to be on the other side, but yeah, in terms of systems and processes, I think my tip would be just to start small and have the right expectations, because quite often when you get into these sort of things, you'll go in and you think you're going to change the business and, you get everybody fired up, and then you find out it's actually a lot more work than you think, and everybody gets disillusioned, and then you rack it about 6 months later and everybody knows, he's going to give it up in a couple of months' time. So it'll be to look at what's going to make the biggest difference to the business or what's holding you back. Pick one process, set yourself a timeline for it. As these guys have said, explain the why so everybody knows why you're doing it. Get that one nailed and then move on to the next one. And as you get better at developing these systems and processes, it gets easier. But for me, I'm a perfectionist, so it's not just creating a system and a process, it's doing a training manual and a video and everything else to go with it. And before you know it, one little process has turned into a 6-month project. So it's just about step by steps, chunking it down. And if you're going to start the process, and if you're going to adopt these 2-second lean principles, that is definitely something I'm going to be looking at. So I'll be coming to you, Ashley, for a copy of the book.
Yeah.
Make the commitment to stick to it. Don't just let it be a fly-by-night thing.
Done is better than perfect.
Beautiful. Did anyone have any questions at all from the audience? I know we had a few folk here. We tested this notion of bringing a few folk in today. Did anyone just put a hand up if you want to ask a question? Other than that, we'll go into the final question. Really, just to almost to close, it'd be really interesting, guys, just to think as leaders of your organisation. What has been the biggest learning about yourself? What's been the biggest learning about yourself? How you've adapted or what you've done since the crisis began. So, Nigel, let's start with you. What's been your biggest single learning?
I think one of my biggest single learnings is how fragile the whole world economy is, and how much we need to safeguard what we do as processes and how we run our businesses to keep the machine well oiled, really, so that if you hit any potholes or bumps in the road, then you've got the wherewithal to sort of navigate around it without too much trouble.
Yeah.
Now this is a massive tidal wave over the whole of the world, really, and I think adaptability. There's going to be opportunities now for this. I don't know. People frown when this coronavirus is a very serious event, and people use the word opportunities. But as business leaders, we have to look to take those opportunities to improve. As a lot of the guys have intimated, that they're seeing changes and improvements, and the business is going to fundamentally change. Apart from Ashley's, who's just rolling it straight over. But I think it will be a change, certainly for our business and the nature of our business. We will see a lot of changes. And my flexibility and adaptability is the main thing that hopefully will drive that through to
Thanks, Nigel.
Ian.
Yeah. How about you, Ian Hodgkinson?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just heard you there. Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that I don't think there's going to be much office building after this pandemic, to be quite honest. So I think we've all learned to operate at a length, really, and at home. And we were looking at taking another couple of people on in the business later on in the year. Fingers crossed we can still do that. And one of the dilemmas was that where are they going to sit in the office? Well, I think we can answer that now. We've got somebody that we may be taking on out of the area, and they could possibly work at home or work in a satellite office, and then commute in to report in once or twice a week or something like that. So I think there's going to be a lot more adaptability between us all, definitely. I don't see the constraints of offices being the be all and end all these days, or moving offices or anything like that. So I think there's going to be a new way of doing business in the new normal, when we'll eventually go back to being normal, if we ever do.
Thank you very much. Ashley?
I was told by a very close friend once that my biggest problem is that I hate humanity. But I think after all this, I think the people are not that bad. But I think definitely I'm not cut out for homeschooling. I've learned that. But I've got two fantastic women that help me run the business. One that lives in Perth in Australia. She used to work for me and emigrated over there, but still runs the business. So that all this Zoom stuff is, we've been doing that for 4 years as well. And we run the entire company using a Trello board, with a girl here and a girl there. So I think the biggest thing is how, like you say, how fragile things are. Definitely, but definitely how valuable and grateful I am to them for what they do when I have crazy ideas on a Monday morning and stuff goes through really quickly. So definitely a whole new appreciation for what they do to run the business. For sure.
Thank you. Bob?
Thanks, Neil. Yeah, I think for me, for years and years and years, it's always been about chasing the dollar. And
just sorry, I just talk to the camera. I just missed that point. Then
sorry, I said for me, for many, many years, and I used to work for a large corporation. It's always been about chasing the dollar, and we've always been worried about either the stock price or our stakeholders and results and so on. And I think if it's taught me anything, Neil, then one is I thought I'd seen a lot and seen everything, but I didn't see this one coming. So anything, can surprise us. But also, I think it's gonna teach me that we need to be patient. We need to be tolerant. There's bigger things perhaps than the job.
Yeah.
And as I think Ian was just saying, the new norm and so on. You can think, well, what's the new job? Because it's going to be different.
Yeah.
And different can be good. I know we've all been impacted. Some of our employees have been tragically impacted, family members and so on. So we've got to be very conscious of all of that sort of stuff. But actually, the new norm, I'm going to translate that into real plain English for my team and guys. We're going to have new jobs, and I think we've got to go back to the employee handbook and our job descriptions, and we're going to have to look at where we're working from. Crikey me, we're going to have to go back to basics.
Yeah.
And that's going to be fun, and let's approach it in a different way. It's been great listening to all of this feedback today. That's been a surprise as well.
Very good, excellent. Tony?
I think how wasteful and self-indulgent we've been, and I think we're finding a new way of doing things now. And we just said before, things that we used to do and take for granted, meetings that we jump on planes to or go in cars to, things, just everything really. I think it's allowed us to bit like Bob was saying, really sort of reevaluate what's important. And maybe a lot, or certainly part of what we were doing previously, was either for our own self-indulgence. We were wasting resource that didn't need to be wasted. And I think it's made everybody completely hit the reset button and almost start all over again. So I think in a strange way, we could come out of it better people.
Yeah, I think that it's, you said earlier on, it brings out the best in us and the worst in us. I think right now, this notion that we're dealing with people, it's all about humanity. It's been a tragedy in many respects, but you know, the opportunity right now is ahead of us, and for us to adapt, to be tolerant, to be patient, all the things that you've talked about, I think will stand us in really good stead. But this notion of learning from one another in this unique time, and we probably wouldn't have done this if we didn't have a bit of time and also an opportunity to share best practice, to share new ways of working. You know, we're all within about 10, 15 miles of one another. I know you're slightly further away, Tony, but not that much further. But just within, you know, such a small distance, there's so much genius, so many great ideas, and coming together like this to share best practice, that we can raise the overall tide of our businesses and maybe play, to Tony's point, in the Champions League more often. You know, this is an opportunity for us to raise our bar right now, to just think about becoming more productive on the world stage, to being the best we can be, to not look in this period with regret that we hadn't done our very best to capitalize on learning, improving, getting that spring cleaning basis, improving our team, getting better people on board. I think it is a unique opportunity. So I'm not sure what's happened to young Benjamin Ben. I think he just dropped me a note saying his internet connection has dropped out, but we will make sure that he gets a copy, and we'll make sure all of you get a copy. We have been recording this today. Benjamin has been running a very successful podcast, and not only running an estate agency company, but he is passionate about becoming a coach in the future, someone who can help people improve their performance, high performance coach, peak performance. So I'm helping him on this journey to a degree. He's got a lot of passion towards that, and what he's been doing just to help the business community through his podcasts and his interviews is very, very plaudable right now. So I thank him on your behalf for that. I thank from him to you all for joining us this afternoon, giving time out your busy diaries for joining us. It's been a wonderful session in many respects, so many learnings, and I hope that you will take away some ideas as well. Thank you, Ashley. I just got a note from you in the chat line. We'll get everyone on the call who wants a copy of 2 Second Lean. I've got your email address, so that's very abundant. I'm sure, to your point, maybe we can, when things open up again, we can come up and visit you and see firsthand. And I like to think some of the other factories as well, and businesses, when things open up again, having the opportunity to go around and see best practice and see firsthand how we're all doing these things. So once again, many thanks indeed for taking the time out. Really enjoyed the conversation today, and a bit of learning from Ben. Had to be the facilitator on these things, so he'll critique me a bit later on about where I can make improvements, some 2 Second Lean improvements to my podcasting skill sets. But I think it's about having a bit of fun as well on the journey. For those of you who've joined us, just a few folk. Actually, had one person, Herb, who joined us from America, who obviously is interested in the lean. So we had a global audience on our call today. Stay safe, everyone. Stay safe and stay on the right side of things. And we'll speak soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.